All right, guys. Like I said, a good week, but a bit slow for me. Bit slow. Um, let's see. I took I took UCAD sales and I closed that like 20 minutes later. Um, I didn't record that one. I didn't record that trade though. It was like a short. Um, I think somewhere around here, I believe. Yeah, I think it was here, and then I closed around here 20 minutes later. I gotta record this one, but it was a point like I'm only gonna bring it up because there's someone in the group. I think he goes by like legit. He had posted like a Bitcoin trade where he kind of broke even or something, and it's very important. Pretty much the lesson in there is the how price reacts from your entry is very important. It's also just as important as like the bias and as the execution itself, right? Obviously, you find a bias and you execute the bias, but then you manage the trade. And no management is also a type of management. So the catch here is like when you see moves like this, like my sell is here, right? Like you guys can. I don't really. I feel like I don't need to really explain this scenario too much. I was looking for a sell because we had high momentum, break structure. The only thing that was kind of holding me back was that internal reaction because that makes this very bullish. But however, even then, like we're coming into right a premium, and within that premium, we're sweeping equal highs, coming in with momentum. I'm sorry, coming in with momentum here, and then based on that momentum on the M5, right, I was mainly seeing this break, momentum, and then catch the continuation lower. But when you start to see like, especially when stuff starts to kind of compress like this, no real volume, no real momentum throughout your candles, it's a pretty big red flag to me because whenever my moves come into fruition, no, you cannot record, yo. What the whenever you have this reaction or whenever you want to have, let's say, this execution come lower, then I want to see these exact same types of moves here, right? And obviously, it's not the clearest example, but if we were to go to, let's say, I'll go through my other trades here in a bit, but really what you want to see is something like this, obviously, right? Big candles in the favored direction that your position is favoring. But if you don't and you see that corrective structure, I think it could have just been an intuition thing, but I just said, you know what, I don't like that. I'm gonna close out. Right. And there's a bit of nuance to it because it is situational. For example, if there's another situation where there is no internal sweep here, because that also technically means a reversal, meaning like this is technically bullish, which is what it ended up being. And I would credit that solely to this sweep, right? If that sweep wasn't there, maybe I would not have that same thought come into play because there is actually nothing supporting the bullish bias in the moment outside of this. But obviously, if that wasn't there, then there's nothing else that would support the bullish bias. So maybe I wouldn't close here and I would just let it run. Uh, but the lesson is you want to see your moves post entry to match a high momentum move. Right. So pretty cool. So first trade, first actual trade, it was like I told you guys last week. I've been looking into like indices and other indices like that because I don't like that everybody trades the same pairs. And like the same answer I hear is like, oh, because these are the most volatile, these are the most liquid assets, or like these are the most traded assets, blah blah. That's BS. Like, let's be real here. Most people are not trading anywhere more than like $100,000, and most of the assets that are being traded do not have any massive slippage issues. There's no like if you're trading anything from the majors, the minors, the popular indices, even most cryptos, right? There really is no excuse not to trade them in terms of trying to say that they are not liquid enough to be traded, right? Obviously, there's like a lot of smaller coins, or there's assets with very big spreads. Like let's say silver has like a decently big spread across the board. But even then, it's not that bad. It's still manageable. It's still tradable. So if an asset is tradable, if there's is not that much slippage, there's decent spreads, and the setups are good, then it's worth looking into. And just based on that logic alone, I really don't like to see, like at first, especially a couple of years ago, when I would see everybody trade the same pairs, I would not even open the chat because I really don't want to see people's opinions, right? And the reason why I'm even bringing this up is like, why do people like? There's arguments for both sides. Why trade only one, two, three, four assets as if you're like a scalp or intraday trader, as to trading a whole lot more? Well, like really, it's all disciplinary, and it's all dependent on whether or not you're able to either pay attention to so many things, or if you're willing to be patient for the exact setup that you want. Right? If you're trading one to two pairs, I promise you, if you look back at a lot of your executions, they're not all the same. Even if you're trading a sweep model, an OFD model, an LGC model, majority of the time, I promise you, they probably don't even look all that much the same, right? And I think personally, it could just be like a FOMO thing. People just kind of want to be in a trade and stuff like that, right? But whereas the nuance to it is like, if you do look at a whole bunch of other stuff, then it's a lot easier to say no to the situation, no to the condition, no to the execution, right? Because, for example, I think it was like last 2 weeks ago, where I didn't take a trade like the whole week, right? I didn't take a trade like the whole week. Does that mean that there weren't setups? Yeah, there's definitely setups, but there wasn't any setups while I was on the chart. And now, for example, there could be weeks that I don't take a scenario. There could be weeks where I take 3 to 4 scenarios. There could be weeks with even more. It really just depends on the conviction that I have for the setup. But the gist is if you're only sticking to 1, 2, 3 pairs, ask yourself why you're only looking at those 2, 3 pairs. Because I promise you, it's really you're just trying to copy someone else. You see other people trading SPX, NAS, EURUSD, GBP, USD, USDCAD, gold, etc. Everybody trades those, and I think because everybody trades those, you might instinctually want to do the same. And I think that's just a bad belief to have. It's just a bad thing. I think, and I because you never know. Like I said last week, you could probably be the best yen trader. You don't even know it. Um, why? Because maybe the conditions are favorable to you during that time. So that explains why I've been trying to look into like indices, and I'll even look at silver here and there. Why not? Like just why not? Um, so I used to trade EJ, an amazing pair in my opinion. Okay, well, why do you not trade it anymore? For me, it messes me up following more than 2 pairs, to be honest, especially with work. Okay, yeah, obviously, like I have time to just sit on the chart. You know what I mean? I don't necessarily have to, like I do things like while I'm looking at charts, but for the most part, I do have the time of day to just kind of look at the charts. Um, but yeah, move to indices futures. Yeah, but like, what do you trade? Like, do you only trade SPX NAS like everybody else, or are you a little bit different? Do you look into like oil futures, any other currency futures, or like I don't know, fucking corn or something, like copper. But yeah, I don't know. That's a belief that I've also kind of gone back and forth on over the years. It's the amount of assets that you should look at aligns with your work schedule, NQ and GC. Been looking at RTY. What is RTY? What is RTY? Am I tripping? The Russell 2000. Never heard of that. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, like I don't really look at Russell. I've actually never even heard of it up until like you just brought it up now. Like right now, I mainly look at like the German, the Japanese. Maybe if I'm like an Asia session, the UK 100, and like you really don't know if you're gonna be decent at trading these pairs until you trade them. But also, if you stick to 2 to 3 pairs, like if you guys know, every couple of years, that the quote unquote conditions like change on an asset. But like, what does that actually mean? Well, like the simplest way for me to put it, like the most practical definition I can have for like market conditions are. It's the combination of the models and concepts that are present at the time from bottom to top. For example, right, if we look at like SPX and NAS, and you go to like the yearly chart, right, most of these have been going up, right? They've been very bullish from a yearly standpoint forever. Whereas if you then start to go through EURUSD, GBP USD, right, they're a lot more different, right? Especially because these have so much more data, right? Some of these are long-term bullish, like, well, technically long-term bullish, right? Technically still bullish, long-term bearish, etc. And as soon as you start to go down, right, this is something that we talk about sometimes here and there too, which is when it comes to alignment, you want to have some type of external, internal execution, some type of combination of like 3 to 4 levels minimum. But there's a lot of combinations when it comes to those, right? Let's say I'm trading a bearish continuation here. This bearish continuation, even if it is considered, let's say, potentially a sweep, is very, very distinct. That if I was to see the same setup right now on EURUSD, because for example, on the monthly, 12-month, the direction is much different. The price action is much different. So who's to say that right now this isn't a sweep or let's say a bearish continuation that's based on a bearish impulse, and then some type of sweep here that started that bearish impulse, whereas it's now different if we were to assume the same thing for, let's say, a correlated asset to GU, which is EU, right? If we were to trade this type of continuation, it would still be the same entry in terms of like Fibonacci, let's say with like a 70%, it could relatively be the same entry, but the conditions are completely different because this is being backed by a sweep. There is a much deeper bearish move, right? And it gets even more complex once you start to incorporate like other time frames, like let's say H4, the daily, right? So the position that you're taking now is a combination, right, of, let's say if you're trading an M5, let's say we're trading an M5, let's say this swept here or whatever, an M5 sweep to go to the downside. Well, this is an M5 sweep that's technically being backed or supported by a bearish, let's say, minor major intraday trend that's being supported by a daily continuation, but is going against potentially, let's say, a monthly or a position bullish trend. So it's the combination of all of those that dictates the market condition that you're in right now. So obviously, every couple of years, there's going to be more data, more combinations, and more potential outcomes. Because I'm sure that when you back test, you're testing like a sweep on an M5 that's backed by an H1 or something. You're not testing that what happens when we have the same M5 sweep on an H1 trend when the daily is either bearish, bullish, neutral. I'm sure nobody tests that. But if you don't test that, then the data is a bit swayed, right? And that's why like market conditions change, because the combinations are like always shifting. Does that make sense? Am I making sense here? Right, you can trade the same M5 sweep, but if that M5 sweep is different on whether it's being backed by a daily sweep or daily Fibonacci, they're two completely different scenarios. And if you're sticking to a couple of pairs, then how do you know how you will do in this condition? How do you know how you will do in that condition? So just to keep you just want to keep the open mind. You feel me? But yeah, anyways, back to this. Bearish trend, 71%, internal sweep because we're internally bullish, right? So internal SD, right? Internal SD, right? Plus being supported by high momentum into that little sweep there. So the cool thing here is I'm being supported by this leg, right? And I have the structural disruption in place, and I have the internal high momentum bearish move here. That is already one level because this is the external, and then the internal level 2, and then this is level 3 because it's part of the internal leg, and then the execution is based on this sweep, which would be a 4th level, right? So I'm kind of trying to support 4 different levels to give me this execution to the downside. And my TP being, all right, the previous low. And I think I have that chart here. Simplicity wins though. Yeah, but that's the thing. Like that's the thing. I'm not saying it's better to be simple or complex. I'm just saying to be aware that the complexity is there. That's all I'm trying to say. I'm not saying which one's better. Like sure, simplicity wins, but I'm a lot more complex of a trader. Like and I could easily say the opposite. So who's right? Neither or both. But yes, let's see. This is German 30. Okay, and then yeah, and this ended up going straight to TP. So see, very simple continuation. And I'm pretty much being supported by 4 different aspects. Like I said, the internal bearish leg, the pullback structural disruption, the internal high momentum sweep, and then there's obviously 70%, and then there's even a micro sweep model here that's giving me that entry. Right, so pretty much like 4 different things are supporting me here. All right, any questions with this? Pretty straightforward. Very, very clean trade, in my opinion. And then also the delivery was very straightforward too. We were never breaking any levels of structure, so there was really no reason for me to be cautious. No big reason for me to be cautious here. Next scenario. I'll come back to these. That was today. German 30. This was yesterday's scenario. I sent this one in the group too. The bearish trend, internal sweep. This is also being swept or you're having a liquidity grab there. And then if you start to zoom in, there's also like a dual sweep here, and then that's confirmed in there. I just didn't see this. I probably would have taken this if I would have seen it. But the only thing that would have been going against me here is if I was to have taken that scenario, this is a CBOS, and we still have to assume bullish move. So I actually caught the conservative entry, that being right the internal sweep that validates this POI to then lead into internal break of structure. To then this is actually a 71, and I'll show you guys here in a bit. High, low, 71, and then I'm obviously aiming for previous lows. And so let's see how that one turned out. So I ended up I broke even on this one, if I recall correctly. I did take a 1 second. Okay. I did take a partial here upon the open of the new day. So the open of the new day, it ended up opening gapping down. And I know one of my members was also looking at the same scenario, and he actually was looking to hedge here and try to buy here. I could see why, and the reasoning why the buy makes sense is like after the sell here, we're kind of stalling, right? And the only reason why I didn't close this early is because I like this bearish trend, and I like that there is a CBOS, but then this is offsetting the bullish pullback, and that's giving me the reason to be bearish, right? Plus, we have the internal move, so I have a relatively tight stop. I do see this moving here, but luckily for me, we gapped it down, and we ended up coming back into right the sell to buy, and in the sell to buy, the only reason why I didn't potentially close or look into taking a hedge is because this low wasn't broken, right? If you would have swept this low, then given the reaction, okay, like that's a completely different story. We can now assume that we're probably going to continue bullishness to at least up here, right? And unfortunately for me, the actual transition, like the only tradable scenario for me here would have been potentially this. Why? Because this is still technically a CBOS, so the pullback is still intact. But once we have this high momentum and then you have an internal LG, then that to me is more than enough to assume that this would go higher. So although I did take a partial here, the overall trade was a break even. So pretty unfortunate there. And then it ended up completing order flow after this LG, took that out, and then it gave a transition, and then it moved to the downside. So uninterested now. Now I can just not look at this. After the break even, I have no reason to look at this. So yeah, that's that. Let me see. No questions on this one concerned. This is another sweep, but a different sweep compared to the first one. I think the first one had a whole lot more confirmation. This one is really only being backed by bearish trend, level 2, which is the pullback sweep, and then obviously level 3, which is there. All right, external, internal, and execution. 3 levels being backing me here. But yeah, no questions, concerns. Oh, sorry, there is another great conference. Forgot about this. This is also the big reason why I was selling. This is the main reason why I was confident in the sell. Right, because this is overall bullish, but you have technically a failed reaction. That failed reaction creates a bearish structural range. That then comes back into the right to sell, as you can see there, and then there's obviously the transition. So still a very good trade. It's just the invalidation has to be this, right? That kind of invalidates the scenario, at least from a conservative standpoint. Cool. But yeah, then I was looking into some trades today. I'm a little salty I missed this here. I had this POI, like I literally had the POI set, and then I went to bed, and then I woke up and this kind of just fully played out. Right. I'll come back to that, but the scenario that I was looking at today after NFP was the fact that this is actually overall bullish. So because it's overall bullish, I have a hunch that this would probably continue higher. One sec. If right we were to see this internal reaction here, as you can see, we kind of swept the high first and then the low. But the reason why I then wanted to see this is, yes, this is a CBOS, and then there was a sweep here that then led into that break of structure. So I was just wanting to see the sell to buy that led into the break be tapped. But unfortunately, I didn't get that. And I would have probably aimed for these highs, which is these major highs. So overall, still bullish. And then we already saw an attempt for this to try to go lower. And because that failed, that's why I'm looking for these highs. That's an SD. Yeah, this is an SD. Sure. But yeah, unfortunately, this would have been a decent trade, and I would have just aimed for these highs, and they probably will hit by the end of the session. Still relatively early. But yeah, that one, and then I was looking at US 30. This one, I didn't even trade this, but I just thought this looked so nice. Like this is kind of like an ideal distribution, right? Why? Because you have right your first phase, second phase, third phase, and then I wanted to see that. So it looked like a really good distribution. And that's playing out. So unfortunately, it didn't come back to top, but on the M1, it actually did. Like this probably would have been a great sell here, right? Why? Even though we're at all-time highs, like this is clearly slowing down, starting to slow down. Right? You can see there starting to slow down. And then obviously there's no break of structure, so this is still bullish. So this internal is still bullish. And then we start to see, right, pretty much start to see stuff start to reject, but more importantly, after this internal sweep, we led into a break of structure, and then did it again internally. So because it did it again internally, this is like a great scenario. So yeah, just a great reversal sweep / distribution, even though you're like at all-time highs. Let's see. Yeah, AU. This one was a really nice sweep, but I wasn't able to capitalize on that this week. Because once I finish this, we're gonna start to see what this all means now. Because we've been waiting for this for like months now. This whole dollar being bullish thing. Been waiting for it for months now, and it's kind of starting to come into fruition. So it's kind of gonna be open season for like continuation. But yeah, then this one, you can see this was a sweep. High, low. And then this kind of does have like a sweep here as well. So I definitely see, especially after this break, like this makes a whole lot of sense. Not interested in that one. EU, this one was also a pretty good sweep. I believe it was an H4. Yeah, decent sweep here. Um, decent sweep. We were seeing this happen here. Sweep, transition. I'm so salty I missed this. This is like A plus traditional sweep. Why? Because you're sweeping equal highs. You have the breaker structure, and then there's an internal transition as well. So 1, 2, 3, and then if you could obviously zoom in even more and get something else, there's probably something else in there. But yeah, this one broke structure, and now I want to see this continue lower. Like this is kind of the dollar finally playing out. Because last week, if you guys remember, we were potentially seeing this go a little bit lower, or hoping for it to go a little bit lower. But then I believe Sunday, it was Sunday. Yeah, going into Monday, like Monday New York session here, it gave the impulsive move. So once it gave the impulsive move, then it's like, yeah, this is now probably going to continue higher. And what that means now from a swing standpoint is I think we're probably going to start making our way here. Right now that the pass is done, LPS, now this makes sense to aim for here. All right, and then obviously we're then aiming for this. But yeah, it's crazy seeing this kind of play out. If you guys have been watching for the past couple of months, we were like here, right? When we first talked about this, like here-ish. And then had the spring come in, the test come in, and then we've been kind of just bullish from a grand scheme ever since, even though we weren't able to trade it the whole way. But yeah, and then last one, which is this one. This one I was unable to catch. This is another great sweep setup that I was looking at this week, which is gold. Right, can clearly see that. Right, that sweep there, but not necessarily tradable yet because we have a sell to buy here. Sell to buy is there, but then once that it breaks internally, right, I can consider this to be a bearish range to play off of. And that's why I was looking for a position here because this is a very clean 70%. And then at 70%, at the 70%, we had the internal sweep. And then we had the breaker structure, but we just never came back. I was kind of salty about this. This is like a high conviction trade for me because I've been very, very bearish on this. Like I want to see 4K on this. Been very bearish on this for like a couple of weeks now. Like I want to see this low be swept. Like that's kind of like my goal. Why? Because even though we're still fully bullish, I want to see order flow complete internally. Right, the ABCD. Like I want to see that. Like this is still in play, so I'm anticipating this to still continue. Right. Obviously, the invalidation is now like this weekly high. So if we were to see like a LG, now that's a bit concerning. But then obviously then it could then be offsetted by like another LG and then continue lower. But yeah, either way, my target just as of now is this low. I need to see that low be taken. And then another big one, this one finally, right? We've been talking about this one for a while. This one's finally moving as well. Only took like a long fucking time. Right, previous type of structure. Then there's like internal transitions, but yep, tried to tell them. Yeah. I think that's something that's very important to know how big the accumulation is, because the big accumulation means it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be bullish for a long time, but it means that a big move will come. And once the move comes, then you get a massive explosion. Um, for example, if this is the entire move, right? This is a pretty long accumulation. You know, it's already been over a year, right? Well over a year. So this could easily start to come push back up, because when you see these big accumulations, like this stuff, right, is crucial. Like look at this accumulation back when like I first started trading, right? This is like a 3-year accumulation, which then led to uh 7 years of bullishness. So these big moves, they just give a big bias in one direction, and it could really pay off in the long run. Yeah, it's just proportion, right? Scalp targets or scalp models, scalp targets, position models, position targets. Obviously, this is still absurd. Like the extension of the move, right, is very absurd, but principally it makes sense, right? Big accumulation, big result. Semi big accumulation should be semi big result. But yeah, this one's finally lifted off here. So yeah, who knows? Who knows what we'll see after today, or how setups will be next week? Because I don't expect this to be a deep retracement. Like maybe hopefully top structure, that'd be cool, and get us higher. And then these would be like very big impulses. Like I can't wait to see the 100 pip moves again, because this is pretty big. Yeah, I see 90 pips in a day. You know what I mean? Even though it is news, like this is expected. Like this is what's gonna happen after, right? We've pretty much locked and loaded. Now it just needs to fire. But yeah, any questions on any of this stuff? Also, I did announce the third cohort. Go ahead, open that really quick. Right, third cohort is in 2 weeks tomorrow. There will probably be, I think I have a discount up until June 13th, which is next Saturday. So just 10% off for that. And then obviously if you've already purchased one, just check your email. You should have access to a cheaper version of that. And then obviously if you're a member, you have your own discount too. But yeah, the plan here, um, like I said in the announcement, this is kind of like filling in the gaps. Deals for premium Discord. Yes, bro. Go look at the announcements. Look at the announcements tab. Uh, cohort 1 foundations, cohort 2 the models, cohort 3 meant to be like to fill in the gaps. And I kind of just want to cover a couple of things, like some simple stuff like learning how to learn, expectations, intuition. I'm gonna change the text on this, so if you guys have any like opinions on what to do or what to add, etc., like I'm always open ears. And then creating models, I still don't know what approach I'm gonna take with this one, but I'll figure it out. I have time. But yeah, and then for the people who weren't around for like cohort 1, cohort 2, cohort 3, I think like the plan is anybody who pays for the full program will probably get them for free, like the recordings and all that for free. And that'll just be a part of the package or whatever. And then I would probably sell them all together And this is like kind of like a refined course now. It's like the V3, I guess you could say, of the course. Um, and then I'll probably start it off maybe for like the first weekend. Like I'll have it like exactly what it was meant to be originally, which is like $300. And then after that, I'll probably raise up the price. But yeah, that's going to be the last cohort I do. I don't know if I'm going to do other cohorts. I don't know if I want to do workshops like dedicated just solely to concepts. I don't know. I'm thinking about it, and if there's like actually some type of like demand for it, then I'll probably do it. But I probably won't do one for like at least 1 2 months, like because these do take like quite a bit of preparation, and I want to be able to actually do decent when I'm presenting this stuff. But yeah, any questions, concerns on this one? So the full cost of all tokens would be $300. Yeah, but I'd only set that price for like a weekend, bro. I'd only set that price for like a weekend. Because the only advantage like the people who paid for them like individually would have is like it's already been 2 months, you know? So you would have saved 2 months if you would have just done them in real time. But I'll probably raise it up to like 500 or something. And then I obviously if somebody pays for like the full program, then it'll go in there. I was wondering, I don't know, bro. You can show a markup. I don't know. Let's get into case studies. Yeah, this is the same setup that I took with you. Yeah, very nice. I actually didn't see it on this time frame. What time frame is this? The M15. I like these wicks and then the engulfing. Like the engulfing that covers like two body candles or more is usually very good engulfing. Yeah, and then there was a transition there. So are you taking like the break or are you taking the retest? The retest. Yeah, okay. Same. Okay. Because I'm not opposed. Like I've whenever I'm trying to automate this stuff, like I'm always trying to consider like possibilities of like how else I could approach the scenario. And obviously, like if I'm trading a sweep, and then let's say if I'm having an engulfing, then if I want to wait for the engulfing to fully confirm, like let's say here, then there's multiple ways to go about the execution. It's like you could take it upon the closure, you could take it upon a retest, or you could take it upon a Fibonacci, or you could take it upon a sell stop. All right, those are like the really like the only ways to go about the scenario. And really, usually, I think the best scenario that ends up working out might be either the sell stop or the closure. At least a lot of the scenarios that I've tried to test is that's been the case. Right? There's actually like some really good models that work really well on like on sell stops and buy stops. Right? It's like pretty much the scenario is confirmed. So it's just like, for example, here, right? If this is to break this, then more than likely we will come down to at least here, right? Or at least here. So the sell stop with a partial or break even protocol is usually like a very high winning scenario. And like, especially with this automation stuff, it's easier to test when there is less, lower risk to reward, but higher win rate. Like if I'm aiming for higher win rates but lower risk to rewards, there's actually a higher probability of me getting a decent model because the variance of when like I run like Monte Carlo situations or scenarios, then it's a whole lot smaller, like the variance in terms of like the performance isn't like this. It's a lot more closed in. in terms of the averages. I don't know if you guys know what variance means, but yeah, this is a good setup. I like it. Right, it's the same one that we took. Did you end up taking the buy that you were talking about afterwards? Okay, you closed it. Yeah, see, that's the perfect place to close it because this is like we said, this is the intention to want to go lower. So then that broke. Okay, nice. Yeah, you see, like the buy is not bad. Yeah, yeah, it's not bad. No, sorry, bro. I heard you the first time, brother. I heard you the first time. Let's see. Any more case studies in the chat? Yeah, nice. This guy's doing really well on gold. Um, let's see this. This is very optimistic. Very optimistic. Like I don't like these scenarios because a lot has to go right for you to reach this target. Like there's this very easily a scenario where you see something like this. Actually, let me leave. Very easy to see something like this because you're just selling so low. That's why I would much rather want to catch the transition of the pullback. But yeah, you see, and then for example, this would have to be like a trail here. Then maybe once you're down here, you have the trail here. And then here's where it gets awkward. Like you're already at 4R and you're obviously aiming for a whole lot more, but do you wait for something like this? And what if it doesn't do that? What if it has a then disruption and then it goes back to break even? That's why I don't like taking these like immediate continuations because this transition is meant to target this and that's done. If it goes any further, that just means that outside of this, there's a supporting aspect, there's a supporting confirmation, maybe a target or something. Yeah, no thanks. Can we consider those highs as unwillingness? What are the definitions, bro? Tell me the definitions. These are questions that I've talked about a lot. What are the definitions for unwillingness? And then what do we do when there's liquidity? Okay. So is that unwillingness? Yes or no? Okay. And then potential future liquidity. Unwillingness is technically liquidity, bro. I don't understand. I don't understand this. Like, I don't care for this. This is bearish. Like, I've seen so many people get caught up on trying to they see equal highs and they want to buy. No, that's not the case. It's always liquidity is always the target. It's not the it's not what should dictate your bias. Right? It can be a supporting factor, but it should never be the reason why you have a bias. Just because there's equal highs does not mean that you should be looking to buy. Obviously, if there's like a transition, all right, this is a decent target. But that is only relevant until this happens, and this is not even showing any signs of happening. So I don't really care for that at all. Like it's not even something that should come up right now. All I know now is like the move is done and it's done. That's it. Like there's nothing to look at. Okay. Nice. Okay. I like this. There's obviously it's slowed down here. We swept, we broke structure to an extent, CBOS, but then you have disruption with the engulfing. So this is good from an entry POV. Now it's a question of whether it's going to return or not. Yeah, see, nice. This is a perfect execution. This is perfect because of this. Because this is, like you said, a CBOS. So in order for that to then be unwillingness, this has to break because there's no internal structure. So yeah, this is a very good trade. And then let me see what the target was. The cool thing is like this could be your target. This right here, 155, 1585, sorry, ish. Like yeah, you could definitely hold that to there based on the scenario here. This is like a realistic target. Why? Because this is with a sweep range, like high to low, that's swept target, like from an external POV. And then this is another major target. This is maybe like a break even slash minor TP1. Yeah, it's not bad. Is this today? No, it's just Tuesday. Tuesday. Okay, this one I don't like. I don't like as much. So yes, it's bearish. Yes, this is technically like solidified or whatever. But this is swept. This is bullish, and we have not broken a high. Meaning that if we've not broken a high, there cannot be structural disruption. I want to see structural disruption, and then take the scenario. Because right now you're just trading the internal continuation, which can work. But it just for me the perfect scenario is to see SD and then enter. Like, was there a scenario? Let's see if there was a scenario to trade here. I guess like this. You know what I mean? I guess that's potentially tradable. But it didn't reach that sell to buy. I mean the buy to sell, sorry. So if it didn't take that, then it wouldn't have been able to reach that. But yeah, this is fine. I'm not opposed to this. I just don't think I guess maybe if you're considering this a sweep based on this time frame, then yeah, that makes sense. This is probably a good TP1, and then whatever else is to the left. But then from here, the problem is like this is technically like a high risk sell. And then there's just no disruption like up until that. So up until then, I can't really fully justify the position. Okay, good. I was looking at this one too. I just the only reason why I didn't like the sell here is there's nothing to play off of here. You can see here, there's nothing to play off of there. So if it's nothing to play off of, it makes more sense to potentially trade this. But then the problem is like this already failed to sweep a high. I mean to break a high, sorry. Failed to break the high. So if it failed to break the high, obviously we're gonna be bearish. Um, but we also failed to break the low after that transition. So it's just like we didn't break the high, we didn't break the low. So this is a bit uncertain to me. So I just kind of stay away. Yeah, see, this is a much better execution. This is kind of what I mean with the disruption because this is bullish. CBOS, CBOS, and then yes, I do like that. I do like that. That's not bad at all. And then this is another decent reentry. Good target. And then if you were to hold, like obviously this would be like a short stop. But yeah, that one went up. It sucks. Sucks I didn't get the execution on this one. This one would have been pretty good trade. Would have already hit TP1. What else? This one was looking all right too. Thought this one was bearish. Yeah, this one I was looking at bearishness because of this. Right, sweep, engulfing. Then I was just looking at continuation. So yeah, this is looking good to go lower, and then this one would obviously cause UCAD to continue to go higher. Yeah, let's see. This is what you were saying. If you look at the French, the FR40, or you mean GR? Are you talking about this? Hmm. Yeah. See, like this would have been a weekly high target because you took weekly low. But let's see. What is this looking like from a grand scheme? Ah, I see. So relative equal highs having swept. This is technically like a sweep range here. You can see the bearish range. That's definitely within 33%. And then there's unwillingness. There's unwillingness. And there is this as well. Yeah, so this is looking bearish. The only problem now is if we see either, let's say, the internal break and then another transition, then this is good to go to weekly lows, which is here. But then if that breaks with momentum, then you can aim for here. But yeah, this is another one. What is the French something? Oh, oh, this one's melting too. That's crazy. Yeah. See, this is kind of what also looks very similar to gold, where you see like this range, Fibonacci, Fib, 70%, and then I'm expecting this to obviously like hit zero. Either gold or silver, one of them has to hit the zero here. All right. Doesn't really matter which, but one of them should hit the zero. And then obviously there's going to be divergence, right? One of them probably will, probably one of them probably won't. Like with dollar, right? This one swept. This one didn't sweep. So that's fine. Because this is kind of this situation here is kind of what I want to see with gold long term. Because you see what I mean? Like we're bullish on dollar, but we swept we swept the major high, right? So then there's obviously like a potential for the bear sweep, but the order flow here, because this is already shifted from the sweep and then the break, I have to assume that this is going to complete order flow. This is a good example of order flow completion and then the reversal, which then aligns with the external and the external of the external. Right. But yeah, not much else to see. I mean, biases are playing out. We've been talking about this for weeks. Mm. Now it's just a matter of figuring out how to execute. Yeah, any questions, guys? What else have you guys been doing? I'm probably gonna set up I should be setting up my live streaming thing relatively soon. Probably today. It's probably what I'm gonna work on today. Probably do it from my laptop or from here. I don't know. Well, I'll see how my computer responds. And then hopefully, I don't know, we'll see. Like I just want to do these Zooms probably via live stream. I just do it like on Kick or something. Kick and YouTube. And then who knows? Like the only plans I have right now for RCV are the cohorts, which is the third of the third, which is in 2 weeks, and I'm still building my scanners. That's gonna take a while. It's a bit difficult to get something that I would consider to be good. Um, and I don't know. Really, from there, who knows? Like I think there's enough across the paid and free space for like almost any kind of trader that's not completely new. Like I really don't know what more I like any of you guys would need. Like if you guys were to tell me like what is something that you're still feel like you're missing as a trader, something you feel like you need to work on or need to do or something, like what do you guys think that would be? Thanks for doing a kind of accumulation. Yeah, bro. We've been talking about that for months. We've been talking about that for months. I mean, there's there's no one way for that either, bro. Like, it's an easy way to put it. Like, easiest way for me to put it. Two sweep models, both valid, but different situations. There will always be something that's going against me on both scenarios. Right. And here, the only thing that's going against me is this bullish range, but I understand that that bullish range needs to be there for there to even be a sweep. So by default, that has to be there. And then on this one, I do technically still have like bullish ranges going against me too. But then I'm offsetting that with the internal reaction. But that doesn't necessarily mean that this one isn't still in play. I'm just using this as an offset to invalidate this continuation, plus with the alignment of the other stuff. So like there is like if you were to write down your rules, there's it's I think I find it almost basically impossible to completely follow them to the absolute T, and especially in detail. The more detail you go, like you can keep it relatively broad, right? Like these are both valid sweeps. If we're saying that a sweep, right, is pretty much having a range in the favored direction, and we're having obviously we're not reaching a threshold, right? And then there's a transition, right? That like, if you keep it broad, yeah, it's you can follow that. But if we want to get super technical and like then consider the complexities, which is like this situation, which is like the big sweep over here. This is not the same here, right? This one's being backed. This, then bearish structure. That's what's backing this scenario, right? For this sell. But for this scenario, it has a much bigger or a much different reason as to why I should be bearish right now, which could be a reason why one broke even, one didn't, right? I could arguably say that the UK 100 is probably a much better scenario, just because like this one isn't overall, this one's overall bullish, the other one isn't overall bullish. So like, if a model is valid, it just depends on how complex you want to make it. Like there's no answer to that question. Like there's no like one way to put it. It just depends on what you're looking for, how you're using it, what's the sequence, and what's your ability too. Like if you were to tell somebody your model, they probably wouldn't be able to trade it. Can you even explain your model for one? Pros have to weigh the cons, but there will always no the yes, of course, duh. But the point is that there will always be cons. That's the point. There will always be cons. So like what cons can be offsetted by XYZ. And that's kind of what I've been trying to do to fit my alignment better. Like I said here, this internal sweep offsets um it offsets this range, right? Because even though we didn't complete the order flow, this is offsetting to then give me a potential idea that this would go lower. Because usually you would want to see maybe an order flow completion. Not even usually, but like there's scenarios that would be valid if this was to be swept, and then you have maybe a dual sweep, and then you have the entry transition, etc. Like they're both valid, but as long as the cons don't outweigh the pros, but then what does that mean? Then that's like obviously 100% up to you. Like there's no one way for all of them. It's all very situational. But yeah, like the question still stands. Like what there is, like I don't know what more else I could do outside of like just these reviews every week, because I could nitpick into like little things, but I don't know. I don't have the energy for that right now. Like because I can keep making ebooks, but it's like the same stuff. Like there's only like a little bit of changing in the words. I can make YouTube videos on ideas and stuff, but like if you could ask the question, we can get those topics done in 5 minutes here rather than me spending a whole day on a fucking video. You know what I mean? We can get to the idea in 5 minutes. Intuition, experience, bro. I don't want to say intuition. I just say experience. Intuition is just trying to fit patterns into principles. Like three things that can happen. We talk about this all the time. Three things that can happen: consolidation, manipulation, or a trend. So your intuition is just finding patterns that fit into these three categories. Like, oh, this looks like it's going to go up and then it does go up. That's because you understand what a trend is, what a manipulation is, or what a consolidation is, and you just found something, or you've seen something enough, or you've lost to something enough for it to get stuck in your head. That's intuition. I forgot where I got that idea from. I don't know if I heard it from someone. Um, but like that's the simplest way for me to explain intuition. Like we can really break most of this stuff down relatively easy. Anything anybody talks about. This is actually decent. I'm not even gonna lie, I didn't even see this. See, it's like another great sweep. Like we're taking the daily high, then there's a dual sweep. Technically the fib range would be here. right? That would be like the fib range. If you turn this off, right? And then dual sweep. Obviously, then this is an internal sweep. Then there's a break of structure, and then this is like the whole entry, and then obviously TP when it's here. You're in it. Ah, nice, 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 nice. This is good. That's good. Like really, I think the only thing more that I can do, um, is like just like what I was thinking is charging for like live sessions, like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, like I don't know, 8 to 10 or something. That's like the only other thing I feel like that would make sense for me to do. That doesn't take up too much time. Like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we all hop on. And it's not even like a hey, here's a signal. Like I would love it to be like, for example, let's say I find a scenario and we talk about it, whatever, but then somebody else finds a scenario. Okay, this is a scenario, and then you like it because XYZ, and then I say XYZ, do we like it? Yes or no? And then fuck it. Then either execute or don't. Like that's how I would like for those sessions to go. But obviously, like I'd put a price tag on it. I would not do that for free. That's like these calls are very exhausting. So to do them like 3 times a week, 4 times a week, it's a lot. But yeah, like I don't know if you guys would like that. I that can be started like ASAP. Loki, get a partner. What do you mean get a partner? Bro, I don't think you understand what you're asking here. How many people do you know that make money from this? I have one guy that I know 100%, and that's Lex Waves. But like, bro, homie's like 40 something. He has a family and he has shit to do. Like, there's like, I'd have to pay him a lot, for him to get on here every day or like 3 days a week. Because like, for example, me and him, we talk about trading every New York session every morning. And like, we'll talk for like 30 minutes. There's either setup and we'll wait for it. And if there's not, then we'll just go do other shit. Like, I'll just go do work on something and then, or he'll go to the gym or something, So then that's also like if you do find someone who's like that, but the whole point of them trading was for the freedom aspect. So like to compromise that freedom, even if it's for those 2 hours, like has to be a lot of money. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. I don't think you understand what you're asking. Yeah, yeah. Let me just go find someone who knows my entire style or can trade this stuff and is willing to go live for a reasonable amount of money. No, it doesn't make sense. Like it's and honestly, bro, like I don't know. I feel like most people have bigger money issues than they have bigger trading issues. It could be because of like geography, like where you're living, or you're lazy. But yeah, like if I was to do something like that, like I would obviously tell him like, hey, like let's like if I'm gonna be on stream, like let's just hop on and we'll just talk or whatever. But I don't know, like if I was to do something like that, I'd have to charge like at least 100 a month over time, like 150. Because if I have like more than like 30 people on and 30 people have ideas, like it gets complicated. But yeah, I feel like that's like the only other thing I can add on. And that would be separate from everything. Like that'd be like its own charge. But yeah, but this is a nice trade, bro. This is a nice trade. This is very good. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Nice, bro. Nice, nice, nice. Like genuinely can retail traders make um I've never met anyone who's making like over millions, over a couple mil. I've never met anybody. Are they around? Probably. There's probably someone out there. But look, bro, you have to realize you're in high school. Like, yo, your opinions are gonna change so much. You don't even know what the fuck it is to think yet, bro. You don't understand what the world is yet. That's why when you're asking me like, do you want to like you want to teach? I'm like, bro, fuck no. Like that's just ridiculous. Like you would be providing such a disadvantage to people that you don't even know. Bro, wait till you're 21 and then make that decision. I was 21 when RCV opened. And even then, maybe I wasn't ready at the time. I would say now, definitely, like it's pretty straightforward to. If I was to train someone one on one, I think it's relatively straightforward if they have some experience. But back then, I definitely know. No, why would you consider that? No, I mean, yeah, if it's here, you consider the bullish LG. That's why it's not a sell yet. It's only a sell until there. Once that breaks, that offsets the LG because now it's a dual sweep after here. But obviously, before that, yeah, that is a bullish LG. That shows me you're confused about using this compared to this. It's like, no, this is not enough of a reason for me to not consider this break. Yeah, I mean it's not the cleanest though. I will say it's not the cleanest. But was there like an engulfing, bro? On let's see. I like this closure. It's a very good closure there. There's an H1 here too. So yeah, so the H1 closure, the H1 engulfing, even though it's not the prettiest, it is valid. Very valid. But yeah, this is a good scenario, bro. This is a good scenario for sure. Yeah, you're aggressive. I mean, your stop is very aggressive, bro. I would just, especially when you're scaling, bro. Trust me, it's not gonna really matter. Just keep your stop here, bro. Because I think you said that you moved your SO on the first one, yes, like the German 31, and I think it might have hit the trailed stop before it went down, like this here. Um, right, like here, right, like ideally, best case scenario, I want this to break before I move the break even, because this is the final leg up. So if this breaks, I'm 100% break even. Whereas if I wait and I wait for like maybe even this, maybe even that break too, that would make sense too, maybe. But I've actually kind of been referencing not the pro trend leg that favors the position, but more so the counter trend and let that break because then that actually does prove the entire transition. Because this, there's still a scenario where this can come back, and I would hate to see this like wick me. Whereas if now the full transition occurs, then I have a little bit more confidence. But yeah, then this one was a really good setup here too. This is the only reason I would ever take like an Asia setup. This is like a great structural disruption. Just when it's so like clear, the sweep, engulfing. This would have been like a very good scenario. Obviously TP here. TP there and then TP here. But yeah, that would have been decent. I'm not gonna lie. Decent, decent. That's 50 pips. That's crazy. Still learning S&D and liquidity. Sure. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if people would be interested in like those live sessions. Like they've requested it before, but I don't know if people would actually pay like 100 a month, which isn't a lot of money in my opinion. Like even the cohorts, I think 100 is like kind of a little bit light. But yeah, do we have any more questions, guys, before we hop off? But yeah, I guess that's it. And also, I should be releasing this update on the indicator hopefully this weekend. I'm aiming for this weekend. So the changes is obviously there's I'm making the time frame independent now. Each time frame has its own bias rather than combinations of time frames. And then I have a lot actually. I added a bunch of stuff. Um, high of day, low of day, current day, previous H1, previous H4, previous daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly high and low. The what else? This is the new week open, and then obviously it's here as well in case there's any confusion. Today's daily open. Um, what else? Previous daily close, and I think that's it. See, like right now, the high of day would be like this because it's like the high of day, and then the low of day, it should be here. Yeah, and then obviously if they overlap, if you guys can see here that it adds them together, it doesn't overlap. And then there's also, I see this. There's also a line extension in case you want to extend them. So then the title goes above the line, but then they extend all the way. And then I can start making like other small changes too. Like the only one I was thinking about is, let's say, shit. Let's say, whoa, did that glitch? Why is that doing that? Yeah, I don't know why I did that. It's weird. Anyways, for example, the only other one that I would probably look into is like this. Like there's different things I can add that are relatively easy to add. Like for example, if a candle closes above the previous candle, then that could flag like an X or like a circle or something like that. Or it could be another marker if, let's say, there's a sweep and then there's like an engulfing, like let's say on the H1, right? Like if there's an engulfing, then that's obviously a different story, and then that could be like a different marker. Like I can always add stuff like that to this, and I'm planning on adding stuff, little simple stuff like that, simple stuff that I feel it could be important. Like for example, this scenario, like I didn't need to write anything on the chart for me to see this scenario happen because I already have like this is already reading to me, or it's reading to me that we're up at the daily high, yes, but I can already tell just by looking at the chart that we're within the sweep range. And then obviously I can see that we're breaking H4 lows. So there is a possibility that there's a sweep model here. And this is just kind of supporting stuff like because making the scanner itself is very difficult because there's a lot of nuance to each setup. But like simple stuff like this, it's very static, like open and closures, highs and lows. It's pretty easy to code because it's very standard. It's a simple if this then that. And you see that's playing out nice. You see, playing out nice. You see. So like it's like these things that can like just support just the general view that I think are is very valuable. But yeah, other than that, I'm probably gonna try to release this soon. And yeah, hopefully today or tomorrow. I'll try to aim for that. And it'll just be a update for the people who already have the indicator. It'll probably pop up like here. It'll be like an update next to it. But yeah, any last questions or concerns, guys? All right, cool guys. I'll see you guys next week.